January with the Chinook. Anyway, guys, enough about weather. We're heading into the first game of Joxy versus Violet in the WCS, oh my goodness, Gauntlet Legacy of the Void Series Global Final. May as well be WCS. I'm reading the name of the map, the WCS Game Heart map. Jeez. Dust Towers, guys, is the first map of the series. Thank goodness, get to watch some StarCraft here, Falcon. Watch some StarCraft.
About time.
I know. That's what I said.
Joxy. All right.
All right, guys. Actually, there's the map. There it is. To the north, we have the pink Zerg player. It is Violet.
And to the south on Dusk Towers, we have the red Terran player. It is Joxy.
All right, finally we're here. Action's ready to rock. Everybody's happy. I'm happy. You're happy. Let's do this.
So a TVZ.
Yeah.
TVZ, absolutely. Probably my second favorite matchup, I'd have to say, in Legacy of the Void right now is TVZ. Just seeing a lot of Viper play from Zergs. Also seeing some Ghosts starting to counter those Vipers. Their steady aiming ability is 150 damage, which is exactly the hit point count of those Vipers. So one-shotting them out of the sky has been very, very nice for Terrans as of late. We'll see if that actually happens in the late rounds of the late game or not, but for right now, both players just going for those early expansions. No one-base aggression from either of these players today.
Nope, both these players just opting for an economic opening as expected. I expect nothing less from these guys. They have enough respect for each other, I'm sure, that they're not going to ultimately opt for a one-base cheese, knowing that the other is likely well prepared for such a thing. And again, in Legacy of the Void, it's easier to defend such early base aggression / cheese that it's almost not worth doing against an equal, people of this caliber. You don't want to risk it. It's like throwing away a game.
Yeah, definitely. And especially just because you start out with so many workers in the early game, the one-base cheese can be responded to very, very easily by your opponent. I haven't seen one-base actually kill a player that often at all in Legacy of the Void, which I feel like is a good thing for the game. I think longer games that start more quickly are more interesting in general to the player base than kind of these one-base cannon rushes and six pulls and things like that.
Yeah, at one point there was a one-base Zerg cheese that some Zergs would like to do on ladder in the beta for Legacy of the Void, but that has long since died in its effectiveness as the larva count is queens are less effective than they were at some points in Legacy of the Void as far as injects are concerned. So it's not worth it anymore. As a Zerg player, you want to get that fast hatch up so you get more larva, you get more queens, get that creep spread out fast, and opt to get that Roach Ravager composition. That's not the end-all be-all. There are other compositions, but it's a powerful way. You can open with it. You can even end the game with it. You have options when you have Roach Ravager. You don't have to stick with it either. So I really like that composition in all matchups.
And the Overlord is going to fall to these Marines, its body falling into the endless chasm below. 4 Lings are heading out across the map. I'm not sure if it's enough to actually do too much damage, but a Roach Warren is on the way at the same time. The Marines pulling back to the safety behind their supply depots, raising that up, and the Lings will be here to kind of do a quick scout. They will see a barracks, they will see a factory in production, but really nothing surprising there.
Oh, will this other Overlord go down too? Eventually it will, as these Marines are likely to leave their base, maybe pick apart, unless these Lings can prevent them from doing so, although I highly doubt it. What is this lone SCV up to? Maybe just seems like an odd position for it to be, not scouting for anything.
No, it's got to be some kind of a proxy starport, or is he just looking for an early third hatch in a weird position from Violet? You're right, it's a very odd position indeed, but now maybe back on track.
Maybe he's just trying to avoid. I think he's just avoiding any overlords, thus avoiding also the Lings that are out, so it doesn't get picked off. Allows him to walk in, see what's up, and now he sees what's up. He sees Ravagers are morphing, and a couple Roaches are out as well. So there are not a lot of surprises here for Joxy, as he has his Hellions out here picking apart these Lings. Not really difficult for them to do as they kite them around. Not very fast Lings and not too many, but these Ravagers are moving their way across the map, and that is a healthy number of them as well. As Violet looks to put on the pressure on the front door of Joxy.
Yeah, immediately coming out with these Ravagers about the 4-minute mark as well, putting up a hive behind it. No more continued production. Looks like these Ravagers are going to be what there is to try to get on in here. Corrosive Bow being thrown down on the Widow Mine, killing one of nice. 2 Widow Mines taken down. Nicely done with that ability. Does 60 damage. with a small splash radius, just so fantastic, being used to take down pretty much everything here as well. Using the Overlord to spot the high ground. Can they get the bunker? Very close. The repair on the SCVs is barely keeping it alive. One of the Ravagers burns to death, and the Corrosive Vials do take it down. Ravagers now turning their attention to the supply depot. What is Jakshi going to do against this?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, just a couple Lings moving across the map for Violet. Violet is not committing to this, which I really enjoy, as he's taking his third base behind this and getting some pretty good damage. A lot of SCV kills, as Jakshi is at 32 SCVs, 243 drones of Violet, and Violet is continuing to drone up as he gets his Spire, as he gets his Ling speed as well behind this. So he's switching over to Ling Muta from this initial. Again, as I previously mentioned, the Roach Ravager builds allows you to do whatever you want. You could use it as a transition. It could be your end composition. In this case, Violet is using it to transition to Ling Muta.
Yep, that's exactly what he's going for. A Banshee is here with Cloak being researched as well. Looks like Jakshi is planning to invest quite a bit into these Cloaked Banshees. Spore Crawlers coming up, though. 3 of them right now, perfectly timed.
He means business with those Spore Crawlers, too.
Yeah, 2 of them in that natural base. The third base is on the way as well. It should be able to finish the Banshee. It doesn't have the DPS to actually take it down before it completes, but it can actually put it into a bleeding position depending on how much time the Banshee wants to spend there. I imagine not very much, assuming she sees there are no workers here as well. Going to swing on in, though, to this second base. There are 2 Queens. Spore Crawler popping up does have the ability to detect at a farther range that it can actually hit, and the Banshee recognizes what's going on and is just going to back on out after a quick poke.
Yeah, Cloak is on the way for the Banshee as well, but this has done absolutely 0 damage so far. Cloak is still pretty useful if you're doing, towards mid-game engagements, and he's still building more Banshees as we speak, as well as Marauders. Stim is just over halfway done, so Jakshi looks to be putting on some hurt as he's getting his third base. Although it seems that his third base may be a little bit... the timing seems a little bit interesting here as the Mutas are coming out. Jakshi is actually in a pretty vulnerable position here. Cloak is on the way. His upgrades for his Marines are a little bit behind because of his Banshee tech, but he didn't make his Banshee tech pay off at all. In fact, it's going to get shut down pretty hard as Mutalisks are now out. Will shoo them away and apply the pressure on Jakshi's side of the map. Gaining map control is Violet.
Yep, and the Mutas turn around and say, where do those Banshees go? With the Overseer support, actually letting the Banshees just continue along, feeling more important to show up with the Mutas at the front door and kill what they can that way. A lot of Marauders on the ground as well. The Banshees trying to kill Queens, and they do pick one of them off. The second one taking heavy damage as well, but backing up. Oh, loses one of the Banshees there. Not very careful indeed, but picking up individual workers as they're transferring over to this third base. What is that? 4 drone kills, moving into 5, but the Mutas are completely unopposed, trying to take down this refinery. Marines finally show up to chase them away, and the Mutas are going to try to swing back into a different angle. The Banshee somehow is still alive, but is finally retreating as it's running out of energy very quickly and will be forced to decloak.
Yeah, Violet tried to make something happen with the Mutalisks, but much like the Banshees, they didn't get a whole lot done initially. That being said, the Banshees did pick off some, as you said, workers that were transferring over to the third base, which did help did help Jakshi rather, start catch up in worker supply. Violet is still ahead with 69 drones versus the 57 SCVs. And finally, this Banshee will die to these Mutalisks' hand. But Jakshi is now moving across the map, going to try to contest this 4th base that is now going up for Violet, or at the very least apply pressure to the 3rd that Violet is currently mining from. Right now, Violet does not have a very large army supply, as Jakshi has eclipsed him significantly in that regard, as he's knocking on the front door of the 3rd base of Violet.
Could probably force a cancel on the third base if he knows that it's there, but actually choosing instead to go up the ramp here, using the Liberator splash damage perhaps to take down the Mutalisks in support of the Marines, backing on out to a more defensive position here. But there are slow Banelings here at the same time. The Widowmine gets cleaned up before even getting shot off. All the Lings do get cleaned up as well, but the Banelings crashing on in, getting a few hits on Marauders. The Marine split looking fairly good though, but the Muta count is just too high, and every single Marine does get taken down by the Glaive Worms, a small group of Marine and Marauder trying to take down a hatchery that is building as well, but they get killed at the same time, and Violet holds that off fairly easily.
Yeah, he did hold it off, but he did lose all his Banelings, and he decided to engage, whereas Jakshi, he decided to engage before his Baneling speed finished, just before it finished, in fact, where he could have got a far more cost-effective engagement if he just waited a few more seconds, whereas Jakshi was not pressing the issue. He himself was pulling back behind his mines, so I think that engagement could have gone a lot better for Violet if he just had a little bit more patience.
Absolutely. Patience is really key in this matchup, but in the end, we're going to see what happens here with Violet swinging around with the Mutalisks again, trying to kill what they can, but the Marines in perfect position to shoo them away. +2/+2 now bringing research for those Marines, and it looks like the upgrades are +2/+2 melee and Carapace. On the way for Violet, perhaps Ultras in the future plans here. We'll have to wait and see on that, but I'd be very surprised if we don't see them very soon based on that Infestation Pit as well, and no Infestors coming out.
Yeah, that's a natural progression, I believe, for the Zerg players. Gas is banking. We got Hive on the way for Violet. As expected, we're likely to see Ultralisk tech, no doubt. With the Ling Bling Muta composition, that is the natural way to go, especially with how powerful Ultralisks are in Legacy of the Void, against a bio composition, no less. Some tanks here, too. Again, all they do is tickle the powerful Ultralisk.
They need to show up and do some damage now because that Hive is not complete yet. The Ultras won't be popping up for just a couple of seconds. A pure Baneling approach, though, here. The tanks getting some pretty good splash damage. The Marines with the +1/+1 burning down that hatchery. It does fall, dodging out of the way of the Broodlings. The drones are trying to hide back as well. It is a flank attack, though, from both sides and the top. The Banelings crashing into tanks, killing every single one of those. And all the Marines just taking terrible, terrible casualties. The Muta's cleaning up what is left there as well. Again, drones trying to hide, replanting that base, and actually the Medivacs managed to escape there.
Yeah, overall, that was a pretty good engagement for Jakshi, I would say. That cost Violet a lot to do, as his fourth base is going up. Supplies are telling the story with 30 supply difference ahead for Jakshi, and that's a lot of scary bio with mines in tow as well as quite a few Medivacs. It's a vulnerable time for a Zerg player as trying to get to Ultralisk tech, and we're seeing desperation out of Violet as he engages his army off creep. Not at all what he's planning on doing, as these Widow Mines burrow, and they're going to get some terrible hits on these Lings, and they do indeed, as blood spatters the floor of Dust Towers.
28 Lings in production for Banelings as well, getting that +3/+3, as well as pathogen glands and some infestors actually coming up on the way for Violet, perhaps feeling like there's not enough time to get Ultras. And indeed, a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings on the way. The infestors, that they pop out in time, could prove crucial in this battle, but Jakshi does not allow that to happen. Lings roll on in. Banelings, good splits on these Marines. A couple hits, but not that great. More Lings floating on in, trying to get a full surround, but the reinforcing units continuing to stream across the map. This 4-base economy looking very, very strong here for Jakshi as well. And the infestors are still not quite complete here. That's it. A GG from Violet. Jakshi takes game number 1 for the Terran fans in Twistcat.
Yes, good job by Jakshi. He applied pressure, did not let up. Again, killed the fourth base for Violet. Again, preventing any further economic boon that Violet would have gained from that, and that he absolutely needed when he's transitioning to Ultralisk and Hive Tech in this case. And he didn't do enough damage with his Mutalisks either. So he floated his Mutalisks. He decided to forego taking out the guaranteed damage of killing the Banshees. And we're going to do, actually, guys, before we continue, player intros, because we often always forget these things. So player intros incoming right now. Or right away now. Soon enough. Right now. There we go. Violet is a fan-favorite Korean Zerg, living in the old US of A. Having participated in the foreign scene for many years now, Violet has gathered a legion of fans and hopeful onlookers. This MLG and IEM champion is looking to make a name for himself in Legacy of the Void, after spending much of Heart of the Swarm building back his skill after an unfortunate period of inactivity. With an opportunity here to make a name for himself early in Legacy of the Void, Violet is sure to make the most of this event. Jakshi is often considered one of the forgotten GSL champions. With a GSL win as his first major accomplishment, it is hard to live up to that sort of hype. Despite this, Jakshi has posted multiple top 4 finishes in Premier level events throughout Heart of the Swarm, as well as being an active player in Pro League, having recently transferred from Spenu to the legendary powerhouse team KT Rolster to replace the void left by the recently retired Flash. Jakshi has breathtakingly large shoes to fill, something a GSL champion is up to the task to accomplish. With Legacy of the Void having just begun, Jakshi is without question one player to watch out for in the near future. Alright guys, we're back. Those were some little bit of player introductions for our two competitors, Joxy and Violet. We're going to be heading to game number 2 of Joxy and Violet right now in Prior and Terraces. Certainly one of the nicer maps in the current map pool. I'm Bobby Awesome. With me is Falcon Paladin for the Gauntlet StarCraft Global Finals. $1,000 on the line. So far, we're still in the round of 16. Lots of StarCraft ahead, folks. And Joxy taking game number 1.
Yeah, surprising outcome there. A lot of people in chat were saying when the ultras popped, the game is over, but Joxy said, we are not allowing that to happen, and just pushed on in with Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and Widowmines, and made it happen for himself and got game number 1 in the bag. Exactly.
All right, to the south, we have the Red Terran taking game number 1. Former GSL champion is Joxy.
And in the top left of Prion Terraces, the maps with a lot of gold bases, it is the purple Zerg player of Violet.
So yes, Twistcat, sorry, said that Sue's Ultra's out GG pretty much. You know, I don't disagree with that in many cases. I think it's a slight exaggeration, but I think Joxy was thinking the same thing and decided, you know, I'm just going to kill you before this ever happens. He applied that pressure, and Violet crumbled underneath it. He could not. I mean, one could say that he failed with the. His aggression, and that's what caused him to crumble later on. Like, he tried the transition. Transitioning to Hive Tech is the most vulnerable time in a Zerg's tech path. You know, where they devoted so much resources to teching to that point. And Violet did not do enough damage on Joxy's side of the map to cover that tech path change. He needed to do something. He needed to force the issue. Maybe go back to Ravager. I mean, that being said, that wouldn't necessarily be very smart, but he needed to do something. He needed to make something happen, and he cut a lot of corners to try to get to Hive, and he did not pave enough road to make it happen, and we saw the result of that. Joxy took full advantage, was in supply lead for the majority of that game as well. We have a lone Marine walking across the map, going to kill a couple Overlords, some wayward Overlords trying to just make their way in the world, and they shall fail.
Yeah, that's a great call by Joxy. Most pro players will send just the 2 Overlords across the map in these particular paths. A good Terran, recognizing there's nothing much to stop this from happening, will just send a couple Marines out, kill these Overlords, and hopefully a supply block, or slow down the Zerg machine in the early game, which can really snowball to great effect in the mid game as well.
Yep. Oh, looks like we're in a... Well, that was weird. Looks like we're in a player view there for a second, as I thought it's having a seizure, but that's how fast these players play. Pretty crazy.
It's true. Yeah, if you haven't ever watched that before in a replay, go ahead and load one up and just watch one of these professional players from their perspective. They're not sitting still anywhere for longer than about 3/4 of a second. It's crazy how fast they play, how much they're switching back and forth. Their APMs are just through the roof, and it just shows you what it really takes to play StarCraft 2 at a high level, something that not many people can do, and not many people can do very well either.
Yep. Exactly, and it's the speed and map awareness, such as this this Marine patrolling the northwest side of his base, making sure no Overlords get in here to get any extra scouting, and any information that you could deny of your opponent is a win, and that's exactly what Joxy's doing. Very diligent of him just to deny the entrance of that Overlord, and that's also again him paying attention to every part of the map, every unit that he has, and that comes with his fast APM.
So useful. Some roaches pop out, immediately morph into Ravagers. I think Ravager eggs look very, very cool. Like they're on fire flowers from the Mario games. Kind of what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they do.
Like the flowers with the flames coming out of the top. Anyway, Yep, that's what Ravagers are. Second base up. Not many defenses here, unfortunately, at the natural base for Joxy. We'll have to see if the Ravagers can do what they want to do, which is kill SCVs and possibly force a liftoff. And Joxy continuing, actually getting a Banshee out with Cloak. Banshees do pretty well against this composition. Nothing can really shoot up. Corrosive Bile is a concern, but a player of Joxy's level should be able to dodge the Corrosive Biles, no problem. But here comes Violet anyway, moving on to a position at the low ground here, using the Overlord to spot, killing a Marine immediately. Good response there from Joxy, moving them back. And yes, look at this, forcing a liftoff immediately. The Orbital Command running for its life. The Banshee trying to kill stuff. Corrosive Bile being thrown down, almost getting the bunker, and then finishing it off there as well. The Orbital Command is still running for its life. The Banshee trying to kill these units. Not enough DPS to kill them very quickly, but does end up killing one of the Ravagers, as they are just ignoring the Banshee entirely and forcing a retreat there while taking third base at the gold at home.
Yeah, the Banshee puts a timer on this attack. Forces Violet to either retreat or lose all his units. And either way, it's a nice defense by Jockey. He didn't lose a whole lot. He is behind by 10 workers, and Violet's income is significantly higher right now due to his saturation and delayed mining time. And that cannot be understated, is the delayed mining time that Violet bought with that little aggression. Sure, it didn't look like he didn't kill a whole lot, but Jockey was not mining from that natural. Violet was, and in that meantime, he's taking his third base at the gold, no less, and it is almost done.
The Banshee comes on in. It does have Cloak available. There's a Spore Crawler here, though, which will get a shot off on the Banshee, trying to find an angle to attack. A Queen getting some shots off as well. 2 queens, 3 queens. Now coming over, this Banshee needs to be careful or it will die. A couple more shots. No, the Banshee does manage to survive with 17 hit points to its name after getting 2 kills. It is a recruit, and the Spire about 60-70% complete. For Violet, we'll get some mutas out there eventually, and that Banshee should get shut down fairly quickly.
Yeah, the gold base is now established for Violet as he transfers some workers over, and his income will start increasing even more so. As you said, Cloak is done for the Banshee, and it did not die, so you can still put in some work with it. Possibly with this, what looks to be a push happening right now, too. In the middle of the map, we have some of Jockey's units pooling up, ready to do some sort of pressure on this gold base. As the Cloak Banshees do cloak down, nothing here to shoot up, actually. A little bit of an oversight by Violet, has no detection whatsoever, as this Queen will likely go down, but instead Jockey's opting to kill some workers while he can. This Queen does go down anyway, and really nice attack. A lot more damage done by those Banshees than should have. Violet, a little bit of oversight by not putting some spores there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or an Overseer did show up a little bit late, though. I think that's what Violet was planning on, is giving Overseer over there, not having to spend a drone on a Spore Crawler, just using kind of Queens with a detection to get rid of it in the end. But right now, Joxy's only lost a single Banshee, 1 SCV, 2 Hellions, and a Marine. I mean, hasn't really lost much of anything at all, which is great for the Terran player. But unfortunately, down 57 to 45 total Harvesters, and Violet feels safe enough to take a 4th base at the gold, while Joxy is still stuck on 2. He needs to make something happen now.
Yeah, the economy of Violet will skyrocket in just a few moments. His 3rd base, as mentioned, is up and running for the gold, and that alone is giving Violet an excellent income advantage, despite the mules that Joxy does have. But the 3rd base now being taken, landed now for Joxy, so he'll try to equalize. But that 4th base is up, not quite running yet, as it's still building for our Zerg player. The timer is running for our Terran player, though, as the economy with the Zerg in Legacy of the Void, once that 4th base hits, it is so hard to stop them from getting their Hive Tech and start pummeling out some Hive Tech units. May it be Broodlords, highly upgraded Roach Ravager compositions, or the vaunted Ultralisk. But it looks like a lot of Roaches coming out, as Roach Ravager is likely to be the order of the day for Violet.
Roaches did shoo away the Hellion push there quite easily at the same time. And yes, Joxy is getting +1/+1, just about to finish there as well. Infantry weapons level 1 and armor. Meanwhile, a missile attack level 1 and Carapace for the ground units coming up for Violet as well. So it looks like very, very heavy on the Roach Ravager is Violet, not taking straight to Ultras, which really did cost the Zerg game number 1. Perhaps learning from that mistake, we'll go for more of a mid game and then possibly try to get to Ultras later on. But for now, definitely a Roach Ravager composition with those upgrades that can be very, very good against Terran.
Yeah, Roach Ravager composition is one of the safest compositions to get, anyway, especially with the current meta right now. A nice Corruptor edition is an excellent, what we saw earlier on in the Legacy of the Void beta, throughout the whole Legacy of the Void beta, was Roach Ravager and Corruptor. To take care of Liberators are the Corruptors, really to zone out Liberators so they don't start picking off the ground-based army of the Zerg player. But the supplies are telling the difference here, as the Zerg is pushing in on the 3rd base. Oh, the Corrosive Biles going down, spreading all over the place, creating mayhem, absolute apocalypse happening here on the ground army of Joxy, as the 50 supply ahead is our Zerg player, as he's pushing the issue here. Not a lot here, no Marauders at all to deal properly with the Roaches and Ravagers, but they will eventually clean up a lot of this ground-based army. This lone Banshee back at the 4th base, not doing a whole lot, as more Lings and Roaches stream in.
Yep, and the Lings, a welcome addition to this army here for Violet, killing a lot of SCVs. 11 total have fallen here. The 3rd base is forced to lift off and move back to the relative safety of the natural. Violet going to push up this ramp with the Ravagers and the Roaches. More Corrosive Biles being thrown down. This Banshee continuing to harass. There is a Spore Crawler here, but the Banshee is outside of the range. The Banshee has completely kept the 4th base on lockdown, but at the same time, Violet's done enough damage, I think, to really slow down the Terran and allow him to go where he needs to go.
Yeah, that is, Violet did lose a lot of army supply, though, pushing the issue there on that attack, but he is still building more units, streaming them across the map. Jaxi's try to respond, sending a double medevac drop to the northeast part of the map, as Violet's large portion of Violet's army is still on Jaxi's side of the map. So we'll see if Violet can spot this and or deal with this, as it is about to cause some damage.
Here comes the drop, moving right on into the main. Meanwhile, an attack of the natural once again. Ling's killing one of the tanks. Corrosive Bile is being thrown down as well. The Marines and Marauders a little bit occupied, not moving into the main base quite yet. The third base again under severe assault there. The Ravagers inside the natural. Marines, Marauders trying to do what they can on this side of the map to even the score, killing drones, going after Queens as well. Natural, the gold base falls without even being lifted off there at all by Jaxi. A transfer of SCVs for some reason. I don't know what that was all about, but there might be enough Marines and Marauders here with the +2/+2 attack upgrade.
Oh, the Lings let in.
A lair, and yeah, forcing a liftoff as well. These guys are still alive. They are immortal, man. Doing a great job. The Roach is trying to come up and deal with them, but before the lair is lost, that would be a nice pickup by Jaxi. And the second base has completely been locked down, dropping here in the gold base. Next, with Marines and Marauders, the Spore Crawler trying to kill these medevacs. That'll help greatly with the defense of the Roaches and the Lings. But again, the lair has completely fallen. And picking up and moving out once again, saving a lot of his units there was Jaxi, but dealt a huge blow to the army. However, it is 45-13 Harvesters, and Violet definitely has a huge lead right now.
Yeah, good attempt by Jaxi to do the counter drop while the pressure was on his side of the map, but at the same time, that did cost him having less army to defend. He ended up losing his third base and lost contention of his natural as well. He just landed his natural back now, but at what cost? He lost a load of workers. Only 13 SCVs left for our Terran player, not mining from his third base, and the economy of Violet is healthy. 54 drones right now. He's mining off 2 gold bases. Well, he's going to be mining out of his first gold base pretty soon, though, as it's getting quite low. But the drop eventually, killed some structures. Didn't kill a lot of economy for the for Violet. This is pretty much the final push for Jaxi. This is all he can do on his meager economy. He has some drop tanks, Hellbats, Marines, and a handful of Marauders. He's going to try to make something happen versus this heavy Roach Ravager army. That is a lot of Zerg.
He dropped tanks on the high ground, though. Corrosive Bile is being thrown down all over the place. One of the tanks falls. Another one falls to the Corrosive Bile. Again, good concave with the Roaches and the Ravagers. This entire bio army gets cleaned up. The tank is gone as well. And that's the GG from Jaxi. Violet ties the series up 1-1.
Dang. Oh, man, we're just speaking of how Jaxi seemed to outclass Violet in that first game by applying constant pressure, and Violet crumbled under that pressure. This time we saw Violet do the very same thing to Jaxi, and Jaxi, he had a one moment there where it seemed like he might be able to get something done, but it was a roll of the dice where he had that double drop. He had a lot, he killed some buildings, but there was no economy left there to kill. It might have been better served being dropped at the natural or one of the gold bases, perhaps, and ultimately it didn't pay off the way he needed it to stay, at least to claw back into the game after that powerful Roach Ravager Ling push that Violet applied to the throat of Jaxi. So guys, this is the Gauntlet Legacy of the Void series global finals, round of 16 so far. Violet versus Jaxi, tied 1-1. Violet just taking that last game. What an incredible game there, Falcon.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I just feel like Violet learned from the mistakes of game number 1. Didn't try to immediately attack to tier 3, which can be very scary for Zergs to pull off, especially against an aggressive Terran like Jaxi. Went for that Roach Ravager composition, got up there, forced a liftoff on that third base several times, again got into the natural, and just did enough economic damage that Jaxi tapped out there. Yeah,
exactly. And also Jaxi taking that gold base and that initial push with the Ravagers and the Corrosive Bile ability. He was trapped between his ramp and the mineral line and the gas and the extractor, and so he was largely clumped up when the Corrosive Bile landed and lost a lot of his units, also workers as well, to this Corrosive Bile push, a lot more than he needed to if he was perhaps in a better position and better prepared for that attack. But I think it caught him completely off guard, and he paid the price dearly for it.
Absolutely. So it's tied 1-1. We are at the final game in this best of 3 series.
Oh my word, guys. I'm just looking at this. I'm actually reading it now. I see things but never actually look. Guys, Neeb would be true 2-1. Holy cow.
Whoa.
Guys, Neeb. 4 and hope.
Neeb.
Neeblet. Neeblet. Yeah, I was told. Element told me. He said, "Watch out for this Neeb character." I know. I've typed up Neeb in the past, but I have never seen him play Legacy of the Void. That being said, well, I mean, yeah, I don't think I have. I don't think I've seen Neeb play Legacy of the Void at all. So I always remain a healthy skeptic. But to see him defeat 2-1, I cannot wait to watch that series. Like Falcon. Tell me you don't want to see that series like crazy. I cannot wait to watch that.
I don't want to. I'm not a very good liar. I really want
They're
to
a
see
terrible
that
liar.
series. It was hard.
too.
You told
Oh
me to
my
do it.
God.
I tried it. I gave my best, but I couldn't pull it off.
You know what? Hey, trying is half the battle. That's not even a saying. But okay, so
No, nobody says that.
we're going to game number 3, guys, of this best of 3 round of 16. Violet versus Jockey. Again, Violet took game number 2, Jockey number 1 in what were very, very interesting and highly aggressive games. Again, a beautiful mark of Legacy of the Void, which the economy starts faster, the action happens fast and furious all over the place, and it's a joy to play and a joy to watch. StarCraft
it really is.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's better now. Now more than ever, it's it's the best game to play and watch. Guys, in game number 3, to the left side of the map, we have the pink Zerg taking game number 2. It is Violet.
And in the top right of this massive map, Ruins of Ceres, we have the purple Terran player. It is Jakshi.
Oh man, it's anybody's game. Anybody's game now. Seeing that the two different approaches that these players took for each of their respective wins, really, it's up in the air. I cannot tell you who I think could possibly win this right now.
No, me neither. It's also interesting to go from a map with like 100 gold bases to a map with 2 gold bases right in the middle. They're very hard to hold. There's this high ground that can be used to harass your workers if they did take the gold. It's not taken very often, except in very, very long macro style games. And actually, hang on. Nope, that's right. It's only the 2. So again, lots of gold to basically virtually no gold here should be a help for Jakshi. I saw a lot of the Twist Cat talking about how gold bases for Zerg are just really, really powerful. I can't necessarily argue with them on that. So here it should even the playing field just a little bit. We'll see how Jakshi responds to this environment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gold for Zerg somehow, just because of how fast Zerg take their hatcheries. So gold ends up paying off. It's not as much of a risk on paper anyway for the Zerg player. As traditionally, it's what we've seen. And if you don't believe me, just watch Cat's stream every so often. That guy, he takes that gold base first thing. If there's a gold base on the map, you guarantee he's getting that first. More often than not. It's and then his game plan will roll. Absolutely, it changes the landscape. Also forces your opponent to react. They can't. It's either they react properly or they react wrong. They react. I guess overreact in this case. So sometimes Protoss especially will overcommit. They're like, oh man, I can't let him get out of hand. He has a gold base. I gotta build gateways now. Like, no, that's the wrong answer. It's you gotta get to tech up to a certain point and then apply the pressure like you normally would. You overreact. Zergs can defend, especially in Legacy of the Void, taking their fast expansions a lot better than before in Heart of the Swarm. So you have to be patient. And that's key.
It absolutely is. Meanwhile, this Reaper trying to get some kills. KD8 charge, not going to Ling back, does get a single Ling kill there, but it's very low on health. The Queen pops out just in time, almost enough to kill the Reaper, but the Reaper does it back on out as well. So again, right now it is 25 to 24. Total Harvesters in favor of Violet. Very neck and neck here. Both players have 2 bases. I would be surprised to see Violet not take a 3rd base sometime soon, unless this is a 2-base opener with the Roaches and the Ravagers. And right now there's not much of a tell to determine what Violet is planning to do. Getting Ling speed, getting up a couple Queens, more Lings as well. Could actually just be some early aggression off of 2 bases.
Yeah, this is interesting. He's not taking his 3rd base yet, and no sign quite that he is going to do so yet. As you said, he's getting the lair, in fact, right away. I expect him to drop a couple more gases shortly, unless he has something else up his sleeve off 2 bases here. But interesting to see what he chooses to do to his Violet.
Yeah, and there's the lair coming up as well. A sub 4-minute lair on the way for Violet here. The Reaper is still trying to get stuff done. Might actually be able to scout out. And no, the 3 queens take him down, burn him down on the ramp. Does not actually see the lair coming up, which could be a problem for Zhakshi.
Yeah, I mean, if only he had something like a scanner or whatever that could see what's in their base. And, I mean, he always has that to fall back on, I guess. He does have enough energy to do it, too. But...
instead, choosing to throw down mules because
this is likely a 2-base Nidus play by the looks of it. That's exactly what this looks like.
That is a lot of gas.
What else would it be? The 2-base, of course. I've seen this before. It's two base. Yeah, it has to be 2-base Nidus play with a lot of queens, maybe even some roaches.
Nope.
I expect a
Spire.
Oh, Spire instead. So that's one or the other off 2-base. You only have 2 choices. Interesting choice for Spire. Off 2-base in Legacy of the Void. Not something you see nearly as often as it was towards the end of Heart of the Swarm. But he does take his 3rd base off of this too, so he's looking to apply some pressure, maybe get some map control, and that's super important, especially on a large map like this. That cannot be understated as well. We have a couple, actually say 4 Hellions patrolling the map, having their semblance of map control. Little do they know, some Mutalisks will be on the way as soon as that Spire is done. There's Banshee on the way, heading towards the natural of Violet. Looking to put in some
Crawler on the way, but not quite finished yet. A bunch of these drones are going to die. A Liberator in production for Zhakshi as well. And look at this. The Queen trying to chase away this Banshee. Not quite able to do it. The Spore Crawler about to finish. Does get a couple shots off on the Banshee. Not enough to kill it, though. Good micro. Good control by Zhakshi. Keeping the Banshee alive. Getting as many kills as possible. And then retreating to return later.
Yeah, overall, though, I think Violet has dealt with it fairly well. Hasn't lost a whole lot of workers. And it also has his 3rd being secured. As far as Zhakshi is concerned, his economy is doing well for himself at 43 SCVs to 51 drones of Violet. Again, he has we got a Liberator out here picking off some Overlords, and that is also a very valuable harass tool towards the mid game is Liberators, especially if you're engaging your opponent's army in the middle of the map and then you throw some Liberators in their mineral line. Sometimes it's one of those things that is hard to notice and react fast enough to, considering they shoot and kill. They kill drones one shot, and it shoots so fast in its siege mode. But these Mutalisks are here to chase away this Liberator, ironically enough, considering that Liberator is supposed to be the counter to it. There is enough mutas here to shoo it away. Perhaps even force this 3rd base to head back home.
It might be enough. The Marines, Marines not quite in position to prevent that from happening. The command center does lift off. Orbital command, rather. Moving back into the natural base, the Marines, if they are there, should be enough to shoo away the mutas in the long run. But a Roach Warren just about to finish. +1 Carapace, +1 missile attack on the way for Violet. Going to be more and more Roaches here, and Ravagers, I have to assume, glial reconstitution being researched at the same time. It is going with the bio, is Zhakshi. Marines, +1/+1 combat shield, Medivacs, Widow Mines, going full on, what was I going to say, Heart of the Swarm. We'll see how it works out with that Liberator help.
Yeah, I like the composition by Zhakshi here as well, but mostly as far as an anti-Ling Bling Muta army. But what we see that Violet is indeed switching over to Roaches, likely Roach Ravager composition. I'd love to see him introduce some Lurkers into the mix. We have not seen that yet from Violet here, but it is very good against bio. This squishy bio, you could zone out, take your bases safe, a lot more safely. Don't have to worry about drops when you have Lurkers on the field as much, and you could press the issue on your opponent's side of the map with the Roach, Ravager, Hydra, and Lurkers. That is something that I think is one of the best endgame compositions so far in Legacy of the Void. Will we see that? I'm not sure, as it seems Violet favors the Roach Ravager comp.
Yep, Roach Ravager, definitely the choice here. I don't see any indication that Lurkers are going to be coming up, which again is unfortunate because they are very fun to watch indeed. Factory and tanks being produced in addition to these Marauders and these Marines and these Liberators. Armory on the way as well for Zhakshi, our Terran player. Widow Mine Shot. Oh, Widow Mine Shot almost kills those mutas. That would have been a very nice hit indeed. And third base up and running though.
Violet is... Oh my god, here we go. Violet is moving across to Zhakshi's side of the map. He has a lot of Ravagers, a lot of Roaches, and enough Overseers to spot a Dark Templar underneath a Mothership. He is now pushing this issue against the third base of Zhakshi, laying down some Corrosive Bile, zoning out the bio of Zhakshi as he's pushing forward with the Roaches, tanking damage, so the Ravagers can do damage from behind.
Yep, Roach Ravager burning down that bunker, forcing a retreat on the bio units as well. SCVs were forced to fight as well, throwing down Manor Changelings. Here is Violet. Again, this orbital command is going to be lifted off. Corrosive Bile thrown that into the air, finishing off that orbital command just about. Again, it is burning. It is being repaired, however.
Close.
SCVs in the face of fire, repairing their building. More Corrosive Biles being thrown down, killing SCVs that were just doing their job, man. They're just trying to repair the command center. Moving up the ramp here as well. Roaches and Ravagers, a single tank getting taken down by Corrosive Bile as well. Small groups of Marines and Marauders filtering out tanks, trying to do what they can, getting into siege mode oh so slowly for our Terran fans in Twist chat. More Corrosive Bile being thrown down. Tank does get moved and dodges it just in time by Ro16, but there are units inside his natural, never something Terrans want to see.
Yeah, right now Violet is tripling the army supply of Ro16. Ro16 is in dire straits right now. Again, he lifted off his third base, is now landing it back down just to hopefully get some mules down to get some extra income. But the pressure is still on. Violet is throwing down Corrosive Biles, zoning out the bio, getting any damage he can. It forces the lift up of that siege tank to the high ground. These medevacs are deathly low too in health, so any Corrosive Bile landing on them will kill them. Right now, Violet does decide to pull back, pool up some of his forces, but the damage is done. 20 workers, SCVs for Ro16 left alive to the 78 booming economy of our pink Zerg player Violet.
Yep, Ro16 basically trying to turtle up now and make this happen, killing changelings. That is the best death animation, man.
Yeah,
they turn all purple and and they wave their arms around and then fall to the ground.
Like rubber arms. That's great.
Yeah, they're like those the floaty guys outside car dealerships when they're doing sales.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they look like.
Exactly like that. Wow.
Gross. Just so
can
gross.
never unsee that. That's great.
No. All right. So like I said, Violet's up 83 harvesters to 27 in comparison for Ro16. Ro16's getting an armory, more Marines on the way, trying to do drops, possibly dropping his way back into this match. I'm not sure if it's going to work out or not. Violet, again, 180 total supply to 68. Some Corruptors flying on in just because, and more Lings on the way, +2/+2 Carapace. And missile attack for those Roaches and those Ravagers. And here comes a small attack, burning down creep tumors, making their presence known. Are these Marines? They are strong, they are good, but unfortunately for them, a huge group of Roaches and Ravagers come in. The Corruptors burn down the medevac. Do they get it? No, not quite, but it doesn't matter. Ro16 calls the GG. Violet wins the series 2-1, and we'll move on to the next round.
Wow, congratulations to Violet and all the fans of Violet. I know there are a lot of you in TwistCat right now. I'm a huge Violet fan, always have been, but I've always respected Ro16. But Violet, that's surprising. I've actually picked Ro16 to take that match, but you know what? Roach Ravager all day, I guess. Some people say Roach Ravager to GM, you know? That's what some people say, not me.
No, me neither, but that's what they say.
That is what they say. So congratulations to him. He moves on to the round of 8. Guys, this is the Gauntlet StarCraft Legacy of the Void Global Finals, brought to you by ESL, Next Recall, Falcon Paladin. The event is sponsored by Cetone and the Gauntlet crew. Follow them on Twitter at GauntletSC2. The whole event is possible because of them. Also, you get updates on latest events and happenings of the Gauntlet series. I'm Bobby Awesome. With me is Falcon Paladin. We are stoked to be here with you guys. Again, that was an awesome series. You know, went all 3 games, really good games, high aggression. What I love to see in esports and what Legacy of the Void has brought in spades. Really stoked to see that. So, guys, fans of Polt and Violet, you know, Korean players who live in America, who have been, you know, been adopted by the American fan base, you know, making it into the round of 8. Both of them of Pilot. My goodness, Polt unfortunately had to. Oh, he made it to the next round, but he got a walkover over Myungshik, who failed to show. So we didn't get to see that series, but hey, good for Polt fans, which I know 99% of you are. So here's a look at the brackets. We have, again,